Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Thiruvan Saranai. Good evening, Venerable Mahasangha, Sayales, and brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we are going to talk about new tika, the Micchatta tika, false or wrongful triplet. First, we will look at the three terms of the Micchatta tika, the false or wrongful triplet. The first term is Micchattaniyatā dhammā, wrongful states which unfailingly produce results immediately after death. Sammattaniyatā dhammā, righteous states which unfailingly produce results immediately after their arising. Aniyatā dhammā, states that do not entail fixed consequences. We'll first look at Micchattaniyatā dhammā, wrongful states which unfailingly produce results immediately after death. Now, the word Micchattaniyatā comprises of two words put together, Micchatta and Niyatā. Micchatta means false nature and Niyatā means fixed in giving results. And how is it fixed? It unfailingly produces results immediately after death. There is a term called Micchattaniyāma, the fixed course of wrongfulness. And this description I have taken from the translation of the Sāmaññapala Sutta by Bhikkhu Bodhi. The fixed course of wrongfulness, or Micchattaniyāma, is a course of unwholesome karma, strong enough to determine an unfortunate rebirth in the immediately following existence. So what it means is that if an individual commits an unwholesome karma that is so strong, no matter what other karma he does subsequently during the rest of his life, the effects of that karma cannot be eliminated. So it's so strong that it will inevitably lead to an unfortunate rebirth in one of the hell realms. So that's what it means. That's what Micchattaniyāma means. Now let's look at the Atthasālinī, the commentary to the Dhammasaṅgaṇī description of this term Micchatta. Now the word Micchatta means of false nature. Now what is meant by this false nature is that the person who commits this action, or the person who generates the Micchattaniyatā dhammā, they do so with the expectation that it will bring them happiness or it will bring them some sort of advantage. So it has a false nature because they think that it will bring them advantage, but in reality it will be the opposite. It will be to their disadvantage. And also partly by reason of the reversibility of the beautiful. That means they expect something good, but they get as a result something completely the opposite, something bad. So the word Micchatta therefore has two meanings. One is that it brings disadvantage when they expect an advantage, and reversibility of the beautiful. It gives something opposite to what they expect, something bad. So that's the term Micchatta. Then we come to the term Niyatā. Niyatā means fixed. So what is meant by fixed is that it invariably gives results immediately in the next life, immediately after the dissolution of the aggregate. So what it means is, now if you take a certain being, the last chitta is the chuti chitta of that particular existence. And then the following life starts with the patisandhi chitta. So soon after this chuti, you get the patisandhi chitta, and that is when the results of this Micchatta, Micchattaniyatā Dhamma occurs because the Patisandhi will be in a hell realm, a subhuman hell realm. So Niyata means the fact that it gives results immediately after death. So the next life they will be born in a hell realm or a subhuman realm which is full of suffering. So the word Micchatta and Niyata. Micchatta means false nature and Niyata means fixed in giving results. Now let's look at the summary section or the Nikkepa khandha description of Micchattaniyatā Dhamma. Katame Dhamma Micchattaniyatā. Which are the wrongful states which unfailingly produces results immediately after death? Pancha kammāni ānantarikāni. The 5 acts that have immediate results. Yacha micchā ditti niyata. And those fixed wrong views. Ime dhamma Micchattaniyatā. These are the wrongful states which unfailingly produces results immediately after death. Now, the pancha kammāni ānantarikāni, the pancha ānantariya kamma, we will talk about those in the next slide, as well as the niyata micchā ditti. So, Micchattaniyāma. Now, we said that the nature of this Micchattaniyāma is that they give immediate results without intervening. So, this intervening means in terms of time. So, as soon as a person dies, the next life, they will get the results of that particular karma. So, what are these Micchattaniyatā Dhamma? These are the Pancha Ānantariya Kammas, such as, I will mention them next. So, what is special about this Micchattaniyatā Dhamma is that if one performs one of these acts, another act, no matter how powerful it is, no matter how strong it is unable to eject the action or the result that has already been created by the Micchattaniyatā Dhamma. So, if one performs a Micchattaniyatā act, another act cannot eject it. So, regardless of what he does in his life, during his life, even if he gives all 4 requisites to the Sangha, including the Buddha, builds huge monasteries, even the size of Mount Mahameru, and with walls jeweled with all kinds of precious jewels, they can't obliterate the effect that was created by committing that Micchattaniyatā kamma. So that is what is important here. So if somebody is to commit a Micchattaniyatā kamma in this life, no matter what he does during this life, subsequently, nothing can prevent that action from giving results in the immediate next life. Now let's look at the Pancha Ānantariya Kamma, the 5 heinous crimes. Tatta katamani pancha kammani ānantarikāni. Which are the 5 acts that have immediate results? Mātā jivita vorapita hoti, matricide, murder of one's own mother. Pita jivita vorapito hoti, parricide, murder of one's own father. Arahanto jivita vorapito hoti, the murder of an arahant. Duttena chittena tathagatassa lohitang uppaditang hoti, the wounding of a Buddha with a corrupt mind. Now here, the phrase lohitang uppaditang is to generate blood. Lohitang means blood. To generate blood of the Buddha. But another phrase is added before this part. Duttena chittena. It has to be done with a corrupt mind. So the intention of generating blood of the Buddha has to be done with the intention of harming him, of hurting him. Now, for instance, if a surgical procedure needs to be performed on the Lord Buddha, and the doctor performs a surgery, and this results in generation of blood. This results in wounding of the Buddha. That does not fall under this category, because the doctor's intention is to heal the Buddha, not to hurt him, not to harm him. So it's important that that this is done with a corrupt mind, duttena chittena. Next, sango binno hoti, maliciously creating a schism in the sangha. So trying to break up the sangha, trying to create a rift within the sangha. So imani pancha kammani anantarikani. These are the 5 acts that have immediate results. So a little more about the pancha anantariya kamma. Now, if someone were to develop a jhana and later commits one of these pancha anantariya kamma, one of these 5 heinous crimes, then all his good karma would be obliterated by that bad deed, by that evil deed. And he would eventually be reborn in a miserable state, in one of the hells. So even if he had developed jhanas prior to this action, all of that will go to waste. All of his good karma will be obliterated by that single evil karma. Now, the example given here is that of Lord Buddha's cousin, Devadatta. So, Devadatta was a monk, and however, he had great ambitions. He wanted to be the Buddha. So, how he sought to do this was he tried to get rid of the Buddha. He tried to kill the Buddha. So, even though he had developed all sorts of psychic powers prior to this action, later on he lost it all. He lost all of his psychic powers after the act of trying to kill the Buddha. So, as a result, he ended up being born in hell. And that is for someone, now that is an example for someone who has developed jhanas and then later lost them. Now, on the other hand, if someone were first to commit one of these heinous crimes, then subsequently during that lifetime, he will not be able to attain any mundane or supramundane attainment. So he will not be able to attain any of the sublime, that means the Rupavachara or Arupavachara jhana, or the supramundane, the Lokuttara Magga Phala. Because that evil karma will create a huge obstruction preventing that person from attaining any of these mundane or supramundane attainments. So the example given here is that of King Ajatasattu. So King Ajatasattu, he, when he was listening to Lord Buddha speak, preaching the Samanya Phala Sutta, that is the discourse on the fruits of recluseship, he had all the conditions required to reach stream entry. But because he had killed his father, King Bimbisara, he was unable to attain the path and the fruit. So that the act of killing his father posed as an obstruction for him to attain stream entry. So that is what is important to note. So if a person commits one of these 5, killing one's own mother, killing one's own father, murdering an arahant, wounding the Buddha, or maliciously trying to create a rift within the Sangha, any of these 5, that is going to pose a huge obstruction to their development in terms of mundane or supramundane attainments, because they will inevitably be born in a subhuman realm in their very next life. We now come to the next, the Micchattaniyatā, fixed wrong views. Now, this is the other component of Micchattaniyatā Dhamma, the fixed wrong views. Now, there are three types of Micchattaniyatā: Ahetukavāda, Akiriyavāda, and Nattikavāda. Now, let's look at each of them one by one. Ahetukavāda, the doctrine of moral acausality. So this is, for example, the teachings of Makkhali Gosala, and it's comprised in the doctrine of fortuitous origination or adicca samuppannavāda. Now, this fortuitous origination means the people who believe in ahetukavāda, they believe that things happen without a cause, without any conditions. They think that things happen by chance, by luck. But Lord, we know that Lord Buddha's teachings are a hetuphala vada. That is, it's a doctrine that believes in cause and effect. There is always a cause that gives rise to a result or an effect. Now let's look at the teachings of Makkhali Gosala so that you will understand this a little better. So I'm going to read a section from the Fruits of Recluseship. This is the translation of the Samannaphala Sutta and its commentaries by Bhikkhu Bodhi. Now, this is a conversation that took place between Lord Buddha and King Ajatasattu. Now, King Ajatasattu had gone to meet the 6 teachers of that time, and one of them was Makkhali Gosala. And this is what Makkhali Gosala had to say to King Ajatasattu. Great King, there is no cause or condition for the defilement of beings. Beings are defiled without any cause or condition. There is no cause or condition for the purification of beings. Beings are purified without cause or condition. There is no self-determination, no determination by others, no personal determination. There is no power, no energy, no personal strength, no personal fortitude. All sentient beings, all living beings, all creatures, all souls are helpless, powerless, devoid of energy, undergoing transformation by destiny, circumstance, and nature. They experience pleasure and pain in the 6 classes of men. So what he has to say is that there is no cause or condition that defiles beings or purifies beings. So these things happen by chance. And even if one put an effort to purify oneself, it is not possible according to Makkhali Gosala. And then later he goes on to say, though one might think, by this moral discipline or observance or austerity or holy life, I will ripen unripened karma and eliminate ripened karma whenever it comes up. That cannot be, for pleasure and pain are measured out. Sansara's limits are fixed, and they can neither be shortened nor extended. There is no advancing forward and no falling back. Just as when a ball of string is thrown, it rolls along, unwinding, until it comes to its end. In the same way, the foolish and the wise roam and wander for the fixed length of time, after which they make an end to suffering. So what Makkhali Gosala has to say is that there is no value, or there is no purpose in following a moral discipline, because samsara, the time in samsara that one has to spend is fixed. In the same way that if you throw a string of ball, a ball of string, it rolls, and then it ends at a certain point. So every single individual needs to walk that fixed length in time in samsara. And regardless of whether they have put in an effort or not, whether they are wise or foolish, they all end their suffering after completing that duration in samsara. So that is what his view is. So he says that there is no cause or condition to defile beings or to purify beings. We'll now look at the next type of Micchattaniyatā, and that is Akiriyavāda. Akiriyavāda is the doctrines of the inefficiency of action. For example, teachings of Purana Kassapa. And these doctrines are comprised within eternalism, Sassata Vada. So to understand this better, I'll read out a little bit about the teachings of Purana Kassapa. Now, he was again another contemporary of Lord Buddha, one of the 6 teachers of that time. So let's look at what he had to say. Now, this again is from the Samanyapala Sutta. And this is what he had to say to King Ajatasattu. Great king, if one acts or induces others to act, mutilates or induces others to mutilate, tortures or induces others to torture, inflicts sorrow or induces others to inflict sorrow, oppresses or induces others to oppress, intimidates or induces others to intimidate. If one destroys life, takes what is not given, breaks into houses, plunders wealth, commits burglary, ambushes highways, commits adultery, speaks falsehood, one does no evil. If with a razor-edged disc, one were to reduce all the living beings on this earth to a single heap and pile of flesh, by doing so, there would be no evil or outcome of evil. If one were to go along the south bank of the Ganges, killing and inducing others to kill, mutilating and inducing others to mutilate, torturing and inducing others to torture, by doing so there would be no evil or outcome of evil. So he says, no matter how grave the evil deed is, even if he were to kill all the living beings on earth, that there will be no evil and there will be no result or outcome of that evil. And similarly, he says, if one were to go along the north bank of the Ganges, giving gifts and inducing others to give gifts, making offerings and inducing others to make offerings, by doing so, there would be no merit or outcome of merit. By giving self-control, restraint, and truthful speech, there is no merit or outcome of merit. So what he says is, whether you do an evil deed or a good deed, there is nothing called evil or merit, and there are no effects or results of these merits. So he completely rejects that there is such a thing called karma. So he says there is nothing called karma. So that is what comprises within the teachings of Purana Kassapa, and this is called Akiriyavāda, or the doctrine of the inefficiency of action. We now come to the third type of Micchattaniyatā, the Nattikavāda, the doctrine of nihilism, and the example given are the teachings of Ajita Kesa Kambala. And this is comprised in Uchchedavāda, or the annihilationism. Now, let's see what Nattikavāda is, using the example of the teachings of Ajita Kesa Kambala. Now, this is what Ajita Kesa Kambala had to say to King Ajatasattu. Great king, there is no giving, no offering, no liberality. There is no fruit or result of good and bad actions. There is no present world, no world beyond, no mother, no father, no beings who have taken rebirth. In the world, there are no recluses and Brahmins of right attainment and right practice who explains this world and the world beyond on the basis of their own direct knowledge and realization. A person is composed of the four primary elements. When he dies, the earth in his body returns to and merges with the external body of the earth. The water in his body returns to and merges with the external body of water. The fire in his body returns to and merges with the external body of fire. The air in his body returns to and merges with the external body of air. His sense faculties pass over into space. So here what he says is that there is no point in giving dana or offerings. There are no results or fruits of good and bad actions. And he goes on to say that what happens is when a person dies, the four elements that the body is comprised of, that is Patavi, Apo, Tejo and Vayu, they will integrate with the Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu of the earth. The body will decompose and become part of the earth. And what happens to his soul or his sense faculties, they will pass over into space. So basically what he is saying is, once a person dies, it is the end of that existence, and there is no rebirth. There is no existence after death. And that is why it falls under Uchchedavada. Uchchedavada means they don't believe in rebirth. They believe that all beings live during this existence, and once they die, the body disintegrates and incorporates into the elements of the earth, and the sense faculties, they just pass over into space. So those are the three fixed wrong views of Micchattaniyatā. And one does not need to have all three of these fixed wrong views. One only needs to have one out of the three to fall under this category. So either a person who does not believe in cause and effect, the ahetukavada, or deny the efficacy of action, akiriyavada, or are nihilist, nattikavada. A person who has adopted this kind of view and maintains them, that is, they have a fixed view. And if they have a fixed view, then even 100 or 1,000 Buddhas are not able to enlighten this kind of individual. And so let's say a person has a view of this nature, but later on changes his view. Then, of course, it will become different. So if he remains fixed in his view until the time of his death, then only this will become a Micchattaniyatā Dhamma. But at some point, if he changes his view, then of course it will not be a fixed view. So what is important here is that he maintains that view until his death. And then as a result of that fixed view, he will be born in a subhuman realm, in a hell realm. And that is how it becomes a Micchattaniyatā Dhamma. Okay, coming back to Micchattaniyatā, fixed wrong views. Ahetuka ditti, a causality view, states that there is no cause or condition for the defilement and purification of beings. and that beings are defiled and purified by chance, fate, or necessity. The next one is Akiriya Ditti, the inefficacy of action view, which claims that deeds have no efficacy in producing results and thus invalidates moral distinction. So there is no good or bad according to this view. And Nattika Ditti, nihilism, which denies the survival of the personality in any form after death, thus negating the moral significance of deeds. Now, it is also important to know about the types of karma by time of ripening. Now, with respect to the time of taking effect, there are 4 kinds of karma. These are ditta dhamma vedaniyam, immediately effective karma, upapajja vedaniyam, subsequently effective karma, aparapariya vedaniyam, indefinitely effective karma, and ahosi kamma, defunct karma. Let's look at them one by one. What is ditta dhamma vedaniya karma? Immediately effective karma. These are the karma which, if they ripen, they must yield its results in the same existence in which it's performed. So, if someone performs a certain karma, the results of it, if it ripens, will occur within that same existence, within that same life. If it does not meet the opportunity to ripen in the same existence, it becomes defunct. That means it gets cancelled out. So according to the Abhidhamma, there are 7 jhavanas in the jhavana process, in the cognitive process. The first jhavana moment is the weakest of all and generates immediately effective karma. So the ditta dhamma vedaniya karma is generated by the first jhavana out of these 7 jhavanas in the cognitive process. Next, we come to upapajja vedaniya karma, subsequently effective karma. This kind of karma, if it ripens, must yield its result in the existence immediately following that in which it is performed. So you do a certain deed during this life. If it is to be an upapajja vedaniya karma, the results must occur during the next life. If it doesn't ripen during that life, then it becomes defunct. So this type of karma is generated by the 7th or the last jhavana moment in the cognitive process. And it is the second weakest in this series of jhavana. So the first jhavana is the weakest and the second weakest is the 7th jhavana. Everything in between, that is from the second jhavana to the 6th jhavana, these 5 result in aparapariya vedaniya karma, indefinitely effective karma. And these karma can ripen at any moment in time, from the second future existence onwards until the person attains nibbana and passes away. So it can occur at any point in time in samsara. So whenever it gains the opportunity, it produces results. And now, unlike the ditta dhamma vedaniya karma, which gets defunct if it doesn't produce results during that existence, as well as the upapajja vedaniya karma, the aparapariya vedaniya karma does not become defunct. As long as this person goes on and on in samsara, in the round of rebirths, these karma will not become defunct. So even for a Buddha or an Arahant, even they are not exempt from experiencing the results of these aparapariya vedaniya karma. Now let's look at a chitta-viti, a cognitive process that shows the 7 jhavana and their order of giving vipaka. So we mentioned that the ditta dhamma vedaniya, it's the weakest form of karma, and if it gets the opportunity to give effects, it has to occur during that same existence or that same life where they perform that particular karma. So that is the first javana. So that is the ditta dhamma vedaniya karma. The second weakest is the seventh javana, and this gives rise to upapajja vedaniyam karma. And this upapajja vedaniyam karma means the results must occur during the immediate next life. So it has to occur during the next life. If it doesn't occur during the next life, then it becomes defunct. And from the second javana to the sixth javana, the karma that is created during these 5 javana moments are aparapariya vedaniya, and they can occur from after the second life till the end of samsara. So it can occur at any point in time, and they do not become defunct. So these are the 3, ditta dhamma vedaniya, aparapariya, and upapajja vedaniya. The final one, which we spoke of, is the ahosi karma. They are the defunct karma. So let's say in this life you do a certain deed and you do not get the ditta dhamma vedaniya results of that karma. That means they become ahosi karma. They become defunct. Similarly, if an upapajja vedaniya karma doesn't give rise to results in the next life, they become defunct. So they become ahosi karma. We now come to the commentary chapter, the Atthakatha Khandam description of Micchattaniyatā dhammā. Katame dhammā Micchattaniyatā, which are the wrongful states which unfailingly produces results immediately after death. Chattaro ditthigata sampayutta chittuppada, 4 risings of consciousness associated with wrong view. Dve domanassa sahagata chittuppada, 2 risings of consciousness accompanied by displeasure. Now, what does this mean? Chattaro ditthigata sampayutta chittuppada. So these are the 4 lobha chitta that are associated with ditti or wrong view. And this is with reference to the Micchattaniyatā, the 3 types of niyata Micchattaniyatā that we spoke about before. And the 2 domanassa sahagata chittuppada are the 2 dosa chitta, the 2 consciousness associated with hatred. And this is when a person does the 5 anantariya karma, the 5 heinous crimes. So killing one's own mother, killing one's own father, killing an arahant, wounding the Buddha, or creating a rift within the Sangha. These 5 acts can only be done with hatred, with a dosa mula chitta. And that is why it's given here as dve domanassa sagata chittupada. Then it goes on to say, ime dhamma siya micchattaniyatā, siya aniyatā. These can be wrongful states which unfailingly produces results immediately after death. Can be states that do not entail fixed consequences. Now, what does that mean? It means that these 4 ditthigata sampayutta chittuppada, these 4 lobha chitta associated with ditti, with wrong view, can at times be Micchattaniyatā. So if it's an individual who has a niyata Micchattaniyatā, then it will fall under Micchattaniyatā. But if it's a ditti which is not a fixed wrong view, if it's a wrong view which is not fixed, then it will fall under the Aniyatā category. Similarly, if a person does one of the 5 heinous crimes, then those domanassa sahagata chittuppada will fall under the category of Micchattaniyatā. But if it's a dosa chitta which does not fall under the 5 heinous acts, 5 heinous crimes, then it will be Aniyatā. So, for example, if someone kills a mosquito, you kill, how you kill is, it's through a dosa mula chitta. But that dosa mula chitta is not a Micchattaniyatā. It doesn't fall under that category. Instead, it falls under the Aniyatā category. It is Micchatta, but it's Aniyatā. So that is why we have these 6 consciousness classified under both Micchattaniyatā as well as Aniyatā categories. Now let's look at the analytical states that are classified under Micchattaniyatā Dhamma, wrongful states which unfailingly produces results immediately after death. Miccha ditti niyata kamma, fixed wrong view, occurring as the 7th javana chitta of the 4 ditthigata sampayutta chitta viti, cognitive processes associated with wrong view. Now we said that the Miccha ditti niyata or the Micchattaniyatā Dhamma are those that produce results immediately after death, that is in the next life. So when it comes to the cognitive process, the chitta viti, the kamma should be that of the 7th javana chitta. So if someone has a niyata miccha ditti, a miccha ditti niyata kamma, then we consider the one that occurs as the 7th javana chitta of the cognitive process. So that is why we are specifically mentioning the 7th javana. So along with this consciousness are associated 21 mental factors, 21 cetasika, excluding mana, dosa, issa, maccariya, kukkucca and vicikicca. Then the pancha kammani anantarikani kamma, the 5 heinous crimes occurring as the 7th javana chitta of the 2 domanassa sahagata chitta viti, the cognitive processes accompanied by displeasure. Again, here we are considering only the 7th javana chitta, together with its associated 22 cetasika, mental factors, excluding piti, lobha, mana, ditti and vicikicca. Now you must be wondering, now we are talking only about the 7th javana. Then what about the 1st to the 6th javana? So we mentioned before, the 1st javana will give rise to ditta dhamma vedaniya kamma. And then the 2nd to 6th javana will give rise to aparapariya vedaniya kamma. Now here we are, the 7th javana, we are focusing on for Micchattaniyatā Dhamma, it is the upapajja vedaniya kamma. Now, if I give you an example, you all know of Lord Buddha's chief disciple, Venerable Moggallana. So in a past life, many eons before his last life as Venerable Moggallana, he had murdered his mother and father who was blind. So he found it very hard to look after them, and due to his wife's influence, he took them to a jungle and he killed them. The parents thought that some thieves had murdered them or attacked them. So as a result, for many, the immediate next life, he was born in hell. So he spent hell for many eons, and then subsequently in during each life, due to that bad karma, he used to get injured, he used to get assaulted by people, and that karma, that aparapariya vedaniya karma went on throughout samsara. And even during the last life, the last existence where he became an arahant, he was subjected to various assaults by people. So even becoming an arahant did not prevent those of the severity of that karma from giving results. So not even a Buddha or an Arahant, becoming a Buddha or an Arahant can eradicate or eliminate the effects of these aparapariya vedaniya karma. So if you are wondering what happened to the first, from the first and sixth javana chitta, the karma, they give results, but the results are not fixed. That's why we didn't consider them under Micchattaniyatā dhammā. So here, the upapajja vedaniya karma that is fixed is what we are considering under Micchattaniyatā dhammā. Now we move on to the second term, Sammattaniyatā dhammā, righteous states which unfailingly produce results immediately after their arising. Now, previously we mentioned Micchatta meant false nature. Here it is the opposite. Sammatta means true nature. Niyata means fixed. So it has a true nature and it's fixed. And how is it fixed? It produces results immediately after their arising. So not immediately after death, but immediately after their arising and passing away. Subsequently, they will produce results. Let's look at the Nikkepa Khandha, the summary section description. Kathame Dhamma Sammattaniyatā. Which are the righteous states which unfailingly produce results immediately after their arising? Chattaro magga apariya panna. The four paths that are unincluded. Ime dhamma sammattaniyatā. These are the righteous states which unfailingly produce results immediately after their arising. So the analytical states that are classified under Sammattaniyatā dhammā are the four magga chitta, the supramundane path consciousness, together with their 36 cetasika, mental factors. Now, why are they Sammattaniyatā? It is because in a chitta vidi, in a cognitive process, as soon as the magga chitta arises and passes away, immediately what is followed is the phala chitta. So, for example, if a person attains stream entry, he generates the magga chitta, and once that chitta arises and passes away, immediately it is followed by the sotapanna phala chitta. So, similarly, it is the same for Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahatta. So soon after the Magga Chitta, it is followed by the Phala Chitta. This is why it is called Sammattaniyatā, because soon after their arising, it is followed by the results. Next, we come to the third term, the last term, Aniyatā dhammā. States that do not entail fixed consequences. So not fixed means they are not fixed in both ways. So they are not, not fixed in terms of their nature, whether they are Micchatta or Sammatta, whether they are wrongful or whether they are true. And they are also not fixed in terms of giving results. Now, the Micchattaniyatā dhammā gives results immediately after death. And the Sammattaniyatā dhammā gives results immediately after their arising. However, these Aniyatā dhammā are not fixed in both ways, either in their nature nor in their giving results. Let's look at the Nikkepa Khandha, the summary section. Kathame dhamma aniyatā. Which are the states that do not entail fixed consequences? Te dhamme tapetva. The aforementioned states accepted. So this means the states that we mentioned under Micchattaniyatā dhamma and Sammattaniyatā dhamma. Avasesa, all other states, kusala bhyakata dhamma, kāmāvachara, rūpāvachara, arūpāvachara, apariyapanna. Vedanakkhando, sanyakkhando, sankharakkhandho, vijñānakkhandho. So all other states, wholesome, unwholesome, and indeterminate. So indeterminate means the vipaka and the kriya relating to the worlds of sense, fine material, immaterial, and unincluded. So belonging to all four planes of existence and belonging to the four aggregates of feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness aggregates. Sabbancha rupa and all matter, asankatacha dhātu and the unconditioned element, ime dhamma aniyatā. These are the states that do not entail fixed consequences. And now the Atthakatha Khandam, the commentary chapter, Katame Dhamma Aniyatā, which are the states that do not entail fixed consequences, Chattaro Dittigata Vippayutta Lobha Sahagata Chittupada. The four risings of consciousness accompanied by greed associated with wrong view. Vichikicca, it should be dissociated from wrong view. This is dittigata vippayutta chitta. Vichikicca sahagato chittupado, the risings of consciousness accompanied by doubt. Uddacha sahagato chittupado, the risings of consciousness accompanied by restlessness. Tisu bhumisu kusala, wholesome states of the three planes of existence. Now, why only three planes? It's because the supramundane, the lokuttara kusala are the four magga chitta and they fall under Sammattaniyatā dhammā. Chatusu bhumisu vipako, resultants of the four planes of existence. Tisu bhumisu kiriya bhyakata, functional indeterminates of the three planes of existence. Rupancha and materiality, nibbānancha, and the final state of deliverance, ime dhamma aniyatā. These are the states that do not entail fixed consequences. Chattaro dittigata sampayutta chittuppada, tve domanassa sahagata chittuppada. The four risings of consciousness associated with wrong view. The two risings of consciousness accompanied by displeasure. Ime dhamma siya Micchattaniyatā, siya Aniyatā. These can be states, the wrongfulness of which is fixed as to its consequences, can be states that do not entail fixed consequences. Now, this is regarding the four dittigata sampayutta chittupada. We mentioned that niyata micchā ditti falls under Micchattaniyatā dhammā. And the five heinous crimes which occur due to the two dosa chitta, they fall under Micchattaniyatā dhammā. And that is the seventh javana chitta of the cognitive process. So the kamma that occur from the first javana to the sixth javana can will fall under Aniyatā dhamma as well as the other kamma, that is the micchāditti, which is not niyata, as well as the other dosa mula chitta related kamma will fall under Aniyatā dhamma. This is why it's mentioned the kamma that is generated by the four lobha chitta associated with wrong view as well as the two dosa chitta can either be Micchattaniyatā as well as Aniyatā. Now we'll look at the analytical states under Aniyatā dhamma, states that do not entail fixed consequences. The four dittigata vippayutta lobha sahagata chitta, the four consciousness accompanied by greed, dissociated from wrong view. The vichikicca sahagata chitta, consciousness accompanied by doubt. Uddhacca sagato chitta, consciousness accompanied by restlessness. These are all akusala chitta. Then we get the 17 lokiya, or the 17 mundane kusala, belonging to the three planes, kamavachara, rupavachara, and arupavachara. 36 vipaka, belonging to all four planes. 20 kriya, belonging to three planes, and the 47 chetasika accompanying them. 28 rupa, matter, and nibbana, the final state of deliverance. Now, these are the ekanta aniyata dhamma. So, they are always aniyata. Now, let's look at the anekanta aniyata dhamma. Anekanta means at times they are aniyata dhamma, at times they are Micchattaniyatā dhamma. So, depending on the circumstance. The four ditthigata sampayutta chitta, the consciousness associated with wrong view, together with their 21 chetasika. The two domanassa sahagata chitta, consciousness accompanied by displeasure, together with their 22 chetasika. So, putting them all together, we get 85 chitta, consciousness, excluding the Micchattaniyatā kamma, the fixed wrong view, occurring as the seventh javana chitta of the four ditthigata sampayutta chitta viti. The pancha kammani anantarikani, the five heinous crimes, occurring as the seventh javana chitta of the two domanassa sahagata chitta viti. And the four magga chitta, the path consciousness, together with 52 chetasika mental factors, 28 rupa, matter, and nibbana, final state of deliverance. So these are the analytical states that fall under Aniyatā Dhamma. So with that, we come to the end of the Micchatta tika talk, and I would like to leave you with an exercise to categorize the analytical states of Micchatta tika, wrongfulness triplet, according to khandha, aggregates, āyatana, bases, dhātu, elements, and ariya, sacca, noble truths. Are there any questions? We don't have much time, but we can take one or two questions. Yes, Feni is raising her hand.
Penny may.
Yes, good evening, teacher. May I ask something that a little bit confusing for me?
Yes, you may ask.
Yeah, about the third Dhamma, about the third classification.
Yes.
Of the Aniyatā section.
Aniyatā Dhamma, yeah.
Yeah. I was a bit confused because the first two, it's about having the results of an action. So it was giving the result for the seven javana and right after the magga citta to give results. So I thought in my mind it was just about the karma and the result and the vipaka. But in the third Tatyapada, it is also including about the vipaka and kriya, rupa, and also nibbana, because they are already the results. So why it is included in the third action?
Yeah. So
thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yes.
Yeah.
So the third term in this triplet, Aniyatā Dhamma, is basically to show everything that does not fall under Micchattaniyatā and Sammattaniyatā. So we have straightforward definitions for Micchattaniyatā and Sammattaniyatā, and everything else that doesn't fall under these two terms are classified under Aniyatā Dhamma. So that is why we said that when we were giving the definition of Aniyatā Dhamma, the word Aniyatā means not fixed. It's not fixed in any way. It's not fixed in whether it is wrongful or whether it's true. The nature is not fixed. And also it is not fixed in terms of giving results. So for that reason, we take not only the kamma, but also everything else. So the rupa, the vipaka, the kriya, nibbana, everything falls under the third term because they are not fixed. So it doesn't have to be a kamma to be aniyata. Simply the fact that it is not fixed is what qualifies those other dhammas to be classified under Aniyatā Dhamma.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, teacher. Understand.
So you may direct any questions to this email address. Unfortunately, we don't have any time to go through any more questions now. The next lesson will be on the 27th of April.
下一堂课呢会在4月27号。
So tomorrow is our Sinhala and Tamil New Year. In Sri Lanka, we are celebrating our New Year tomorrow. So I wish you all a very happy New Year. And now it's time to share merits. I would like all of you to join me.
现在呢，请大家跟随老师呢一起做这个功德的分享。
Ākāsattā ca Bhummattā Deva Naga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Sasanang Chiran Rakkantu Desanang Chiran Rakkantu Mamparang Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñāteo Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñāteo Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñāteo Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamu satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Idam me punyang asavakya bahang hotu. Idam me punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagang sabba sattanang bhajemi. Te sabbe me samang punya bhagam labantu. Buddha sasanang chiran tittatu. Buddha sasanang chiran tittatu. Buddha sasanang chiran tittatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Happy New Year.
愿老师新年快乐。
And Happy New Year.